Don't know how to pick a title for your manga? No worries. Today, we'll break down the secrets to naming your manga to grab attention and fit your story. We've worked with pro-Japanese mangakas with over 50 years of experience and helped over 400 students worldwide create their very first manga. If you stick with us until the end, you'll also find out how you can pitch your manga to publishers in Japan. Typical titles. You only make a first impression once, and in manga, the title is a huge part of it. Titles fall into 5 main categories with different focuses. 1 is the protagonist. Character-driven stories typically have a title that revolves around the protagonist. Think one-word titles like Naruto or Doraemon. It could also hold a little more context about your protagonist and what makes them unique. Kind of like Great Teacher Onizuka or Cardcaptor Sakura. Number 2, object. Other stories revolve around a special object or tool like Death Note. Or the special item could be the objective or goal driving the story forward, like One Piece or Dragon Ball. Number 3, occupation. You can also pick a title that's related to your protagonist's job, like Demon Slayer, Apothecary Diaries, or Full Metal Alchemist. These titles tell us something about the protagonist and the kind of world we're stepping into. Number 4, plot. If you want to hint at your plot, you could pick titles like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Nichijo, which means My Ordinary Life, or The Summer Hikaru Died. Titles like these are a little less common, but when done right, they hook readers instantly. Finally, a lot of titles tie into the story's core theme. They can have multiple layers like Monster by Naoki Urasawa. On the surface, the title can refer to the main antagonist, Johann Liebert. But it's also a metaphor for the manga's exploration of what it means to be monstrous. Here's a pro tip from our pro manga editor, Vivi.
Now with the internet, you want it to be original enough that when you research it, not something else pops up.
That means a good title isn't just catchy. It also has to be unique enough to not get confused as something else, interesting enough to spark curiosity, and memorable enough to stick in readers' minds. So, when you're brainstorming titles, ask yourself,
what's the core of my story?
Is it the theme, the plot? Maybe it's a mix of different things. Whatever it is, the best title will often come directly from that core. If you've been trying to make manga and you're not sure if you're doing it right, don't worry. You can sign up to your free manga training through the link in the description. We'll walk you through the exact same steps pro mangakas use to create their manga. No more wasting time. Follow these steps and you can create your very first manga in as fast as 3 months, just like our student Amser. Sign up to your free manga training today through the link in the description. What's in a name? Here's the thing about titles. They don't exist in isolation. Naming your manga is only half the battle because you have to name a bunch of other things first. From characters to settings, objects to events, and maybe even special powers. The names you pick for them can shape what your final title becomes. Hirohiko Araki, the mind behind JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, puts it best.
You need to choose your character's name with much care, for their names can determine the direction they'll take.
And if you think about it, the names of main characters can allude to their design or personality. Take My Hero Academia. The Midori in Midoriya Izuku's name means green in Japanese, just like his hair. Or how Katsu can mean victory in Bakugo Katsuki's name, and he always strives to win. It's the memorable traits or visuals that typically make their way into a character's name. And if you want to dig deeper, you can use names to represent character dynamics and roles too. Think of All Might and All for One. Their powers or quirks represent their roles as the embodiments of good and evil. All Might's quirk, called One for All, is a torch that's passed from one hero to another, representing the use of power for the sake of all. Meanwhile, All for One's quirk is the same as his villain name, which represents power hoarded and stolen for his own benefit. But not every name has to be deep or symbolic. Sometimes you just pick something because it sounds cool, and that's okay. Our pro manga editor Vivi says,
There's no wrong or right way to name things, as long as you pick something that fits the world you're building.
if you're making a historical manga, be aware of the naming conventions of that era. If you're writing about a specific culture, double check the spelling and meaning so you don't misrepresent it. One of our students, Eduardo, builds stories inspired by mythology. He uses the correct names of mythical or historical figures when needed, but he also reimagines them to create his own unique twists. If you're struggling to come up with names, you can find inspiration everywhere. It could be from hobbies or personal interests, like how Haruichi Furudate used his experience with volleyball to create haiku, which also means volleyball in Japanese. Or how Horikoshi Kohei's lifelong love of superhero comics inspired My Hero's quirky world building. He even referenced Star Wars in settings like Dakuba Beach and Kamino Ward. You could also turn to literature, art, and media for inspiration. Banana Fish by Akimi Yoshida references a short story called A Perfect Day for Banana Fish by J.D. Salinger. Blue Period by Tsubasa Yamaguchi is a homage to Pablo Picasso's Blue Period. Haru Aso's Alice in Borderland is a modern spin on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Its protagonist is named after Alice, only with a Japanese spelling, Arisu. The manga's plot also parallels the original story's premise of falling into a strange world. When you stick to a consistent naming scheme, your manga world comes to life. And when all those names click together, they can even inspire your manga's title. The naming dilemma. We've covered the common ways to name your manga, but not every title fits neatly into those categories. Some manga go the completely random route. Think Dan or Bobobobo. Now that was a tongue twister. At first glance, they make zero sense. But that's exactly why they work. They're so weird, you can't help but read just to find out what's going on. On the flip side, you've got titles that are basically mini loglines, which nearly explain the entire story. Stuff like, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Or, No matter how I look at it, it's you guys' fault I'm not popular. Why would pros pick titles like these? According to Vivi,
More and more people are reading digital manga, so they are trying to be catchy with the titles as well by doing that. I think it's more about the current digital society trend and clickbait and all that stuff that is influencing that decision.
But here's the dilemma. Just because a long or bizarre title can work for some manga doesn't mean it's the best choice for yours. If there's a shorter, clearer title that suits your story more, it's better to go with that instead. At the end of the day, names and titles are an artistic choice. If you want to use something wild or something that came to you in a dream, that's totally valid. What matters most is that it feels authentic to your world and story. The thing is, we don't want you to obsess too much over just the name. What good is a great title when you don't even have a finished manga to share with your reader? If you're not sure how to create your first manga, then book a free one-on-one manga consultation call with us. We'll help you figure out the biggest thing holding you back and give you an exact roadmap on what to do next. You can book your call through the link in the description. The year's almost over, so take action today. If you want to stop wasting time and finally start making manga, then check out this video.